Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of Parenthood, and it's election day, and we're finding out the results of this journey that Christina's been on, trying to become the mayor, and unfortunately, she does not win. And I'm actually okay with that because, she's been through a lot in the last year, and, it was nice to see her stand up and face a new battle, but I'm glad that they allowed her to concede and that Bob Little would go on to be mayor. And I didn't really think Bob Little was that bad of a guy, but I'm glad to see that the journey that Christina has been on has been more of an emotional, spiritual journey than anything else. Then we had the humor that is Crosby, who pretended to have voted in the last election for Barack Obama when he wasn't even registered to vote. So when he went to vote for Christina, it was an epic fail. And then he tried to bribe some man into voting for Christina, and it was just hilarious. But I thought it was really cute that he took his son to go vote and just to say this is our democratic right, and that he hadn't even registered to vote. And then of course Jasmine gave him a good tongue lashing, and it was hilarious. It was some good comic relief for the episode. So that was funny. Some other interesting comic relief was Hal and Max, and we all know that he's been working at his studio as a photographer, and his daughter comes to visit, and of course Max takes a liking to her. He's like, well, she's 14, I'm 14, she's a girl, I'm a boy, I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend. And she says no, and obviously she doesn't really know everything about Max, so she just finds him weird and she says no. And the father is like, why don't you just say yes, and like, you don't even live here, so it's not the big deal. And of course the daughter's cheesed, and I think what it really did was show more of a relationship between Max and him. And he can't really relate, or not that he can't relate to his daughter, but his daughter and him do not have a great relationship. So the fact that he's able to bond with Max, I think, makes this relationship with the two of them, as weird as it is, a really genuine relationship. And it's so cute. And he ends up talking to him about, you know, that girls are more complicated than just having something in common. Like, she has to really like you back and all this kind of stuff. So it was actually a really nice scene between the two of them. And it'll be interesting to see what Max gets into next. I mean, he's a very interesting, complicated character himself. And the fact that he's so into photography and he's really good at it, I think is a really great thing as well. Then we had the scene that I have been predicting was going to happen for a while now. And that is what's going on between Amber and Ryan. And we find out that he's taking like these anxiety meds that everyone thought he wasn't taking anymore. And, in the last few episodes, we've been building up to the fact that Amber's been spending a lot of time at the studio. She's hanging around this band a lot. There's a guy in the band who seems to have taken a liking to her. And now she's recording this track that's going to go on the demo. And, once they hear it, it sounds amazing. Her harmonizing sounds really good. They say, okay, we're going to keep it. They go out to celebrate, and Amber had already promised Ryan that they were going to hang out, and he's calling her, and it's bad. And I mean, we've been seeing this build up for a while. Amber can hardly talk to her fiance without like walking on eggshells around him because she's terrified that he's going to freak out. He's got PTSD. He hasn't been dealing with it. They haven't addressed the fact that he really does have an issue here. And it's about to hit the fan. And so, she's too drunk to go home. So he's like, I'm coming to get you. And a huge, massive fight breaks out. He's just like punching this guy in the face, like repeatedly. I don't even want to know what he looks like when we see him in the next episode, but it is bad. He like chokes the lead singer. And I mean, like, he is off the rails bad. And we saw this coming. And of course, Amber's at the police station, and she calls Zeke, who wasn't really in this episode, but that was okay, to come and help. And it's tragic, and it's just another reason why these soldiers that come back need to be handled with care. They need to be handled, and not just handled, but like they need to be addressed. And it's a serious issue that they have so much anger built up in them, so much going on that you and I just can't imagine, because we haven't been through what they've been through. And they need to be able to go through a process before they're able to get into relationships and all this stuff. So I mean, we've seen the writing on the wall for a while between Amber and Ryan, but you know, we knew this day was going to come, and it was just still a tragic scene to see. And then we had Joel and Julia. And oh my God, you guys, this relationship is so like on the brink of disaster. And Ed is texting Julia. Joel is seeing that they're texting and quite a lot. And then, you know, they're still dealing with the Victor issue. You know, he's having to deal with his first day of going back into the fourth grade, and his friends teasing him and calling him retarded. And, you know, he's like struggling with it, and he calls Julia a liar, and he actually calls her Julia. He doesn't say mom. He says, Julia, you're a liar. You said I was smart when I'm not. And, you know, she's struggling with it. She's trying to reach out to Joel. Joel is not answering her phone calls. So Julia goes to his job while he's there with Pete, and they're working, but they're kind of working and sitting really close to each other, eating sushi and flirting a little bit, and it's not good. And she walks in on it and she freaks out. She yells at Pete, and then, you know, Joel tells her to leave, and it's just bad. And so then when they finally have their discussion, you know, he's like, listen, I never would have done this when you were working. I always supported you. I was your biggest champion. I never would have barged into a meeting and treated you the way that you treated me. And it's just like they're just talking over top of each other. No one is listening to what each other is saying. She's like, I'm frustrated. I need your help. And you weren't there. And it's just bad. He leaves, he goes to his home, but we don't really see any more of Joel or Julia by the end of this episode. But I mean, they've reached this boiling point where it's like, is Joel gonna cheat? I still don't think he's gonna be the one to do it. Is Julia gonna cheat with Ed? I hope that she doesn't, but I feel like that is what's gonna happen because she's so emotionally connected to Ed. And at the top of the scene, like of the episode, Ed, you know, is talking to Julia, and you know, he's telling her like this is the best thing for Victor, and she agrees, and like they're on the same page. And then Joel walks into the conversation, and he's just basically like, oh yeah, I know who you are. And like they're sizing each other up, and it's just bad. It's so bad. It's bad. It's bad, guys. And I just like, like I said, I'm really glad that they're addressing this issue, but it's heartbreaking to watch. And I hope that it doesn't end in separation between, you know, Julia and Joel at the end of the day. But I'm really liking this storyline, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. All right, guys, another good episode of Parenthood, and I'll see you next week. Leave a comment, subscribe, like. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.